Today we're going to be taking a look at cinema robots, and we're going to be looking at how my friend Patch and I made this cool little video using them. Let's get into it. If you don't know who Patch is, he's a talented filmmaker and film photographer who works for a studio that works with cinema robots. So when he offered to give me a tour of the studio, I couldn't resist. Patch showed me around the studio and some of the equipment that they had there. They had 3 total robots, but we're going to be focusing on only using one of them just because it was exactly what we needed for the shot that we had in mind. One of the first things Patch told me when we got there was to stay out of the way of the robot. Because the robots are so heavy and they have the potential to move with a lot of speed, you do not want to get caught in front of one of them. So with that intimidating fact in mind, it was time to get to work. Now to set up the shot, the first step was to start taking some measurements to make sure we had our focus set right. As the camera moves around, we can predetermine where the camera is going to have to focus depending on where it is in the room. So that's what these measurements were for. Once we had all the measurements, we started plugging them in the computer so that way our camera would pull focus as it was moving. Even though there's an Arri sitting on top of the robot, we decided to make things easy and use a phone to film the shot that we had in mind. Patch rigged up the phone with an arm to make sure it was secured as the robot moved around, and now we were ready to go. What I found super interesting about programming the robots is it works off keyframes. Basically what keyframes are is telling your program to have an object be at specific spots at certain points in the timeline. For example, if this is our timeline, we can tell our program to set a keyframe here, and therefore our object is going to be at this position at this point in time. Later on in the timeline at this point in time, we'll set another keyframe for the object to be here. So now when we play it back, the object will move to that spot that we designated. That is a very basic understanding of how keyframes work, but this is essentially how you would program the robot as well. Patch would go through and select the different axes. Patch would go in the program and set multiple keyframes for the different axes of the robot. When he did this, the robot was able to go through our timeline and move to the different points that we had set. Since it's a robot, it can repeat the same motion over and over again very reliably. So that's exactly what we did. We repeated the same motion the robot did over and over, and we just had Patch standing in different parts. Putting this in the editor was pretty simple. All we had to do was cut out basic masks around Patch, and because all of the video layers were all the exact same movement, Patch just showed through and it looked like we had multiple patches on the video. And here's what we ended up with. This is actually multiple takes of the same camera movement over and over again, all combined into one. It was really cool to be able to see the robots in action and get an idea of how they work and to be able to see what we can create with them. It was a lot of fun. I want to say a big thanks to Patch for showing me around. I'll leave his channel in the description below. Go check him out. He's got some good content. And thanks for watching.